In this video, I'm going to show you how to develop an amazing skill in trading that goes beyond basic price action trading. So let's get started right now. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe below and make sure that you hit the bell icon to be updated on all new videos that we make. Hi, I'm Scott Schubert, and I trade the Forex market exclusively based on raw naked price action. And I've developed my own technique primarily based on observation of the market, things that I have learned to be true by looking at the market. And I've studied some of the methods taught by other price action trading mentors, and although I have a lot of respect for what they're doing and some of the people who are involved, I must say that everything that I have seen that falls under the term of price action trading is really a bit primitive and crude, especially compared to the methods that we have mastered in our trading community. By now, many people have seen that the students in our community are often getting results that are far beyond even what some professionals are able to get. And if you are somehow not aware of the many people that I have interviewed over the last decade, you can watch a playlist of some of those interviews right up here. Now, you may notice that some of the more professional experts in trading are using techniques that fall under the category of price action trading. And they love to emphasize how they use no indicators. And that's great. But what I have noticed is that there are some additional levels of understanding. There are some additional steps that could help people to get a higher number of winning trades. And one of the things that is emphasized in this type of trading is they put a lot of emphasis on support and resistance. And in my experience, if you were to really look at the market on the first day that you open up and look at charts and try to see something that's true about the market, the one thing that you will probably notice that is true is that the market does not go up and down between support and resistance. That's not the pattern that markets make. And sometimes in their illustrations of when they're describing what price action trading is, they have these diagrams like, oh, here it's going up here, and then it's going sideways, and then it's going down here, and then it's going sideways. And that is not what markets do. And I would hope that most traders would be able to realize that that's true on the first day that they look at a chart. Another thing that they like to emphasize is particular candle formation. Like one candle compared to another candle has a certain name, such as a bearish engulfing candle, and every time you see a bearish engulfing candle, that represents an entry or something like that. And what I have found is that a candle type it's very much like if you were learning to read literature and someone said, I would like for you to read this famous piece of literature, and keep in mind that every time you see the letter G, that means that the main characters are going to fall in love and have sex. And then you pick up the book and you see, well, there's G's all through here, but they're not falling in love and having sex in every paragraph of this thing, but there are G's in there. So that's very much like focusing on one candle by itself. And so when you're reading the market, that's one of the main things that you need to do to break through to a higher level of being able to read, is to look at the market not in terms of one candle, but in terms of the overall shape that the price action makes as it's forming patterns on the charts. And I can give some credit to some price action trading experts that I have seen. In fact, I'm thinking of gentleman Chris Capri of Second Skies Forex, because in his price action trading, he does begin with the same thing that I would begin with, which is to understand the difference between impulsive and corrective price action. As an exaggerated illustration, here's what I mean by impulsive and corrective. The market is continually doing nothing else but this particular type of pattern in different variations of it, impulsive versus corrective, and it never stops doing that. So it should be evident, again, I think, on the first day that you look at a chart to think, how could I make money from this whole process, this whole phenomenon of the price moving and changing from these two different types of cyclical behavior, impulsive or corrective? Well, if you could identify the type of point where the market is ending an impulsive price action section, or the point where it's ending a corrective price action. Those two things, when you think about it, if you could do that, there would be no other way that you could make more money than that. Do you realize that? Some people will realize that instantly when they see this phenomenon. Some people, they don't realize it, and then they go and look at something else and could spend the rest of their lives doing something that's not related to what the market is telling you. If the market does form these impulsive and corrective price action over and over again, could there be another way you could make more money than by identifying the end of an impulsive section or the end of a corrective section? If there was such a thing, what would it be? Let me know if you got an answer to that. Put a comment below and we will discuss that further. Now, this is what price action is about, not a particular candle. And notice one other thing about this is that during impulsive price action, the market will just go right through all previous resistance if it's going up. If it's going down, it'll go through all previous support, and the support has nothing, it's just like it's not even there. And then if it's starts a correction, it also just goes through the previous support. It doesn't have anything to do with the previous support and resistance. And this is the basic footprint that markets never stop making. They continue to make a trend and then a correction. When you look at a trend, if you take a chart and look at a trend, what you will see is that during the trend, it went through all resistance if it was going up. And when it stops and corrects, it goes through the support. It doesn't stop at support for a correction. That's not what happens. So going back and forth to support and resistance, that is definitely not what you want to put your emphasis on. There's some significance to support and resistance, but that is definitely not the main thing that you want to put your attention on when trading. Here's a piece of the market, and you can look at this piece of the market or any piece of the market for any currency pair on any time frame. And the first thing that you should be able to identify is where on this are the impulsive sections of price action. And relative to those, where are the corrective price action sections of this? If that's not what you're seeing, I guess you're not seeing what the market does. And for some reason, some people don't want to focus on what the market does. They want to try to focus on something else that's not related to what the market does. And they would think that if I'm not focusing on what the market does, then maybe I can somehow have some kind of a mechanical strategy that maybe that could somehow work. Because my attention is not on what the market does. And I think that the reason that people do that is they think that it's too hard to understand what the market does. But a good way to realize that that's not true is to take your eyes and point them toward a chart and then notice that instead of not focusing on what the market does, you could probably get much better results by focusing on what the market does. I know that may be kind of a revolutionary idea, but the truth is many people are looking at charts and somehow there's a lot of difference of opinion about what the market does. But once you do realize the truth of what the market does, no one can come along and tell you that it doesn't do that. Like on this chart right here, hopefully no one could come and try to convince you that the market doesn't do what it just did. And you could have that be true of all charts so that it becomes something that you truly know. You truly know what the market does, and no one could tell you that it doesn't do that. So that's where I got all of my information from, is by seeing what the market does. And that enabled me to see that the market is making patterns, and that there are patterns that continually repeat. But let's just say for now that markets are continually forming different patterns that have shapes that can be read. And you can look at this shape without counting anything and recognize that shape as having a meaning. And anyone can do this the same that you would if when you first learn this shape, this shape, this shape, and so on. When you were in the first grade, people gave you these shapes. You attributed a meaning to them that was given to you, like this is given to us from the market. This is not someone's opinion about what this means. This comes from the market. And then there's a series of shapes that the market never stops making. Where people get confused is that there are additional levels of how to see these patterns other than just opening one chart on one time frame and just looking for what you can see on that chart. There are additional levels that will give you additional insight to help you to see more clarity about what the market really is doing, and be able to use that information to decide, make choices when you would get into a trade and when you would get out of a trade. So this is what I consider to be the most exciting and fascinating subject about the real aspect of price action trading, where you can really read what the market is doing and use that to make trading decisions. So if you would like to learn more about how you can do that, go to tradingmastermind.com and just sign up for our free course. Meanwhile, take a chart, look at it, and see if you see any of these patterns. And if you see anywhere on a chart something that resembles this pattern that you can recognize, oh, I see that shape here, or I see something that is similar to that shape here. That will be the first step. Understand that there are additional steps, and that's where people get hung up. Many people thinking, oh, you can't see these patterns on the chart because they have not been shown how to take those additional steps. I would love to show you all about this so that you can also see it and use it to make good trades all the time, just as many of us are doing right now today. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.